Hello and welcome to Arnie's Short Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Cursed Crystals of Bonchurch. The Isle of Wight, veiled in mist and mystery, held secrets beneath its ancient soil, secrets that begged to be left undisturbed. Holly Arnold had always been drawn to the arcane, the whispers of folklore that clung to the island's bones like seaweed to a shipwreck. She was no stranger to strange occurrences, but nothing had prepared her for the horrors lurking beneath Bonchurch's tranquil facade. It started with an innocent stroll along the beach. The tide had pulled back farther than usual, exposing jagged rocks and glistening tide pools. Amid the detritus of the sea, a cluster of crystals jutted from the wet sand, their surfaces pulsing with a light that should not have been. Holly knelt, brushing away the briny residue. The largest of the crystals was unlike any mineral she had ever seen, deep amethyst with streaks of something darker shifting beneath its surface, as though tendrils of ink slithered within. A thrill ran through her fingers as she lifted it, and for a moment she thought she heard something exhale. A whisper, a sigh too human to belong to the wind. That night the dreams began. Holly found herself standing in Bonchurch's ruined church, its skeletal remains casting elongated shadows under a moon too full, too bright. The wind howled, yet the trees stood motionless. Figures moved in the periphery of her vision, their forms distorted, flickering as though caught between realms. When she turned to face them, they would disappear, only to reappear closer, closer still. A chilling sensation crept up her spine, a weight pressing on her chest as if unseen hands sought to restrain her. She awoke gasping, the crystal still clenched in her fist. The air was thick with the scent of salt and something else, something like decay. The walls of her cottage groaned, and from the darkness outside, something knocked. 3 deliberate raps against the window pane. Then silence. Holly forced herself to move, to look, but there was nothing there. Just the moonlight filtering through the glass, distorted, as though something had just moved away. Holly spent the next day unraveling the mystery of the crystals. The villagers were tight-lipped, their eyes darting toward the horizon whenever she mentioned what she had found. It was the oldest among them, a woman named Agnes Harrow, who finally spoke. "Those crystals don't belong in your hands, girl. They come from the depths where things that should never wake still slumber." Holly felt the weight of the crystal in her pocket. "What do they do?" Agnes' lips pressed into a thin line. "They show what's coming, what's already here." That night Holly dreamt again, but this time she did not stand in the ruins alone. A bride, veiled in tattered lace, loomed at the church's altar. Her head tilted, revealing a gaping wound where her face should have been. The scent of rotting flowers filled the air. The pews were not empty. Dozens of figures sat, their faces obscured, their mouths moving soundlessly. And then, as if a veil had been lifted, she saw them for what they were: bloated corpses, their eyes black pits of hunger. The bride raised her arm and pointed. The holly. She awoke screaming. The crystal lay on the bedside table, its surface slick with something dark and viscous. The knocking at the window was no longer a dream. This time it came again, 3 slow, deliberate raps. Her breath caught in her throat as she crept toward the window, her fingers trembling as she drew back the curtain. Nothing. But the glass was fogged, as if someone or something had been standing just inches away, breathing against it. And there, in the condensation, a single word had been traced by an unseen hand. Asterisk, asterisk, return. Asterisk, asterisk, her heart pounded. She stumbled back, her mind reeling. Was this a warning? A threat? Or a plea? She wanted to throw the crystal away, to rid herself of it, but a terrible thought clawed its way into her mind. What if it wasn't done with her yet? Over the following days the visions grew worse. The dreams bled into waking reality. Shadows loomed where none should be. She would catch glimpses of movement in reflections, but when she turned to nothing. The whispering became incessant, a cacophony of voices pressing against her skull, drowning out all reason. And then, one evening, as she sat hunched over the crystal, debating whether to return it to the sea, she heard a sound that made her blood run cold. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Inside her house. She turned, every muscle in her body rigid. The air had thickened, pressing in on her like a living thing. The dim glow of her lamp flickered, and then the bride stood in the doorway. No veil this time, no mask of obscurity, just the ruined, gaping wound of her face, her blackened teeth parting in a grotesque, unnatural grin. Holly couldn't scream. She couldn't move. The air crackled, pulsed with an energy she could not understand. The bride took a step forward, and another. The crystal in Holly's hand grew unbearably hot, searing into her skin. A deafening whisper filled the room, an overlapping chorus of voices chanting a single, dreaded word. Asterisk, asterisk, return. 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 Asterisk, asterisk, and then in darkness. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.